Right. So now we are going to start the second session of the second day. Right. So at the onset, I would like to welcome today's speaker, Dr. Binay Tiwari. Dr. Binay Tiwari obtained his BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering from Gautam Buddha Technical University, Lucknow, MTech in Power and Control from Indian Institute of Information Technology, Manufacturing and Design, Jabalpur, PhD in Electrical Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Indore. Presently, he is working as a assistant professor in the Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering at Ellen Mittal Institute of Information Technology, Jaipur. His research interest includes real-time power quality monitoring, harmonic estimation, signal processing, and hardware in loop. So with these words, I would like to request Dr. Binay Kumar Tiwari to continue the session. Dr. Tiwari, please.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for invitation. And I am going to present
You can share the screen,
Okay,
right?
yes. So the topic of my presentation is assessment of power quality disturbances using wavelet based method. So in today's session, I will first explain the basics of power quality disturbances, like what is the voltage sag, swell, and movement interruption, and what is the harmonics, specifically harmonics. Then in second part, we will use the wavelet. Wavelet basically discrete wavelet packet transform for the estimation of harmonics in the power system. That basically discrete wavelet packet transform is already used for the estimation of harmonics, but its computational complexity is quite high. So we have used one method like polyphase decomposition based wavelet filter for the estimation of harmonics, which will reduce the computational complexity of discrete wavelet packet transform. So in second session we will learn about one algorithm, that polyphase decomposition based wavelet filter, and in third part we will understand how we can implement this algorithm, this wavelet discrete wavelet packet transform on the hardware platform, specifically on the field programming gate array. So I will use some MATLAB and Xilinx based software, Vivado Design Suite. So how we can implement this algorithm, discrete wavelet packet transform, on the FPGA for the estimation of the harmonics, and how we can save some resources when we are going to implement this discrete wavelet packet transform on the hardware platform. So basically, the prime function of power system is to deliver the energy to the end user with adequate quality, reliability, and continuity. So basically, in power system, there is three part: generation, transmission, and the distributions. Basically, the power quality disturbances are generating as the distribution side, and we can see in this PPT that this will be categorized in two parts, that the first is time domain and second will be in the frequency domain. So in time domain, the main power quality disturbances are the basically interruption, sag, swell, and the fluctuation, noise, and transients. And in the frequency domain, that the harmonics, interharmonics, subharmonics, and the fundamental frequency deviation. So in time domain, the sag, swell, and interruptions are categorized in time domain because we have to visualize we have to see how this disturbance is looking. And in the frequency domain, we have to access the frequency components, like harmonics, the frequency component of harmonics, third harmonics, fifth harmonics, and seventh harmonics. So that's why it categorized in two parts. One is in time domain, another is the frequency domain. So basically, this in time domain and frequency domain, the main emphasis of this presentation is on the harmonics. So why the harmonics are generated? Basically, at present time, we are using the personal computers and the sophisticated control systems, adjustable speed drives, arc furnaces. So because these are the non-linear devices, and these non-linear devices generate the harmonics in the power supply waveform. Secondly, the integration of renewable energy sources like the wind power and the solar power provide us the green and clean energy, and also it reduces the carbon emission. But here we are using the converters for the conversion of electrical energy. And again, these converters are the nonlinear devices, basically the semiconductor devices. And in semiconductor devices, the relation between voltage and current is nonlinear. Like we can see in the diode, the relation between voltage and current is nonlinear. So all these semiconductor devices where the relation between voltage and current is nonlinear, that will generate the harmonics in the power supply waveform. So basically these are the harmonics, and harmonics are the integer multiple of the fundamental frequency. Like if our fundamental frequency is 50 Hz, so 150, 250 and 350 and so on, these are the odd harmonics, and 100, 200 are the even harmonics. Interharmonics, the frequency components other than the harmonics. Subharmonics, the frequency components below that the fundamental. And the second is the fundamental frequency variation. When because of a large demand between load and generation, the frequency will vary, nominal variation in the frequency from the it's 50 Hz. So there will be some fundamental frequency variation when there is a large demand between load and generation. So these are the disturbances. And what is the causes of this power quality disturbances? The causes of this power quality disturbances may be switch mode power supply, television, computers, welding equipments, dimmers, energy saving bulbs, variable speed drives, frequency drives, and power converter. Basically, these devices where we can see the relation between voltage and current is nonlinear, like in power converter. These are semiconductor devices. So this is the reason for the generation of the harmonics. And what will be the effects of this disturbances? The first effect, the increased losses in conductor, cable and transformers, torsional oscillation in AC motors, and there may be the protection devices. This will affect the protection devices, and misfiring of alarm or the electronic devices like the any switching devices relay. So there will be possibility of that misfiring, interference with communication lines, and equipment overheating. So the first about the time domain that I have already explained about the power quality disturbances is categorized in two parts. One is in the time domain, another in the frequency domain. So the first part is what is voltage sag. Basically, the voltage sag is in the reduction in the, here we can see in this figure, where in the reduction in the rated voltage from 10% to 90%, and the duration of this reduction may be half cycle to 1 minute. So we can see in this figure there will be at this point, there will be the sag generation. Here will be the sag because of from here to here, and there may be the sag is the reduction in rated voltage from 10% to 90%. So this is about the sag, and what is the reason for this sag is the starting of large motors and faults in the electrical power system. So these are the reason for the generation of the voltage sag. Second will be the voltage swell. In voltage swell, the suddenly there will be increase in the rated voltage, rated RMS voltage from again 110% to 180%, and the duration of this sag is also from the half cycles to the 1 minute. Half cycle to the 1 minute. And what is the reason for this voltage swell? Single line to ground fault, switching of the large load, and energizing of the capacitor bank. Next is the momentary interruption. In momentary interruption, there will be rated voltage in rated voltage, there will be suddenly decrease in the rated voltage from 90% to 100%, and this will occur, the duration will occur from half cycles to the some minutes. Okay, and why it is generated? Because of switching operation and faulty working of reclosures. Second, the voltage fluctuation. In this voltage fluctuation, the envelopes of the voltage, the envelope of the rated voltage will fluctuate from 10%, from its nominal value. From 10%, there will be fluctuation in 10%. This is continuously. Okay, so this is because of there will be load variation in individual installation and changing in the operating condition and connecting of the welding equipments. Noise is the, it is also the continuous, because this noise is generated, this is the high frequency distortion, and its content will be typically less than 200 kilohertz in the power system, and the reason is the welding switch gear and control circuit and improper grounding and the transmitters. This is the reason of noise. Then basically the main focus of this work is, today the main focus of this session is on the harmonics, how we can estimate the harmonics using the wavelet transform. And these are basically the any distorted waveform can be represented by, according to Fourier series, any distorted waveform can be represented by the summation of various higher frequency components. So we can see this is the distorted waveform, and we can write with the help of these first, fundamental, second, third, and the seventh. Okay, so with the help of Fourier series, we can separate the fundamental component and the other harmonics from the power supply. So we can see this is the distorted waveform, and this can be decomposed in the corresponding three waveform, like this is the fundamental, and this is the third, and this is the fifth harmonics. So this is about the harmonics. So what is the basically the power quality monitoring? So here, first the nonlinear loads are renewable energy sources that will generate the harmonics or interharmonics and the subharmonics. So first this is passed through the anti-aliasing filter. So why we are using this anti-aliasing filter? First we will use this anti-aliasing filter. Anti-aliasing filter will use because of the band limitation. When we will pass this signal, this distorted waveform that contain the noise. So first we have to pass this distorted waveform through the anti-aliasing filter. Anti-aliasing filter. So this anti-aliasing filter provides us the band limited signal. Band limited signal. And why this band limited signal is necessary? Because in normal the distorted waveform along with harmonics, there are many spurious components like the noise. So before, basically there are the anti-aliasing filter, analog to digital converter, and then your processor, then we can perform the analysis. So basically at present time, all the processor are the digital devices, like the field programming gateway or your personal computer or the DSP processor. And we have to convert, and this distorted waveform in the analog in nature. So first we have to convert this distorted waveform, which is analog in nature, into the corresponding that digital signal by using the sampling and quantization. So for the sampling, there is two requirements. First, the sampling frequency will be greater than the twice of maximum frequency component. And second, the signal should be band limited. The two constraints are important here. First, the sampling frequency is greater than 2 FM, and second, the signal should also be band limited. Both are important here. Normally we understand the sampling frequency is fs is greater than 2 FM, then we can reconstruct the signal. But along with fs is greater than 2 FM, one important part is also here, the signal should be band limited. So when our signal should be band limited, when we pass this signal from the anti-aliasing filter. So this anti-aliasing filter provides us the band limited signal. So now we can remove this high frequency component like the noise. Then this band limited signal is passed through the analog ADC, analog to digital converter, which will provide us the sampling and the quantization. sampling means that fs is greater than 2fn, and quantization means converting the amplitude in the corresponding the digital binary values. Then we can apply the suitable signal processing technique to separate the fundamental and harmonious component. This is the most important part in the power quality monitoring. Which technique we will apply here? Whatever the technique, if the technique is very good, then we can estimate the fundamental and harmonious component from the signal in very good manner. But if the techniques are not good, then there will be some accuracy, deterioration accuracy. So this is the most important part of this whole power quality monitoring, the signal processing technique. And next, after this signal processing technique, when the fundamental component and harmonics are separated, then we can perform the power quality analysis, like the estimation of amplitude and phase of the fundamental and harmonious component, and estimation of the power quality parameters like the total harmonic distortion, active power and reactive power, and all those components. And why this monitoring is important? This monitoring is important because to increase the situational awareness and the visibility of grid network at the distribution level. And whatever the information we are getting from this power quality monitoring, this will share with the distribution system operator, and this distribution system operator can take the appropriate decision for taking the control action or whatever the action that is necessary on the basis of this information what we are getting from this and estimation of amplitude and phase of the fundamental and harmonious component. Basically, all this power quality monitoring is important to increase the situational awareness and the visibility of the grid at the distribution level. Now, what will be the requirements of this ideal power quality analyzer? So we will design the algorithm in such a way that it can estimate all the features like the frequency, amplitude and phase of the fundamental and the harmonious component. And it should be accurate in the presence of interharmonics, in the fluctuation of amplitude and the fluctuation in the phase. It should be instantaneous, means we can extract the information at each sample. We can extract the information at each samples. So there will be no requirement of, we are talking about ideal power quality analyzer. So there will be no any window so that we are getting any information after a window. We will get the information after each samples. Okay, so its time resolution is quite good. When we are getting the information at each sample, the time resolution is quite good, and it will be robust against the noise and the fundamental frequency deviation. The computational burden will be also low. That this is very important part because it will also affect the processor. If the computational complexity is very high of the algorithm, so we will use the high cost processor. So there will be requirement of least computational burden. And the algorithm we will use such type of algorithm that we will find the less resource utilization. When we are going to implement on any hardware platform, it will take less resources in terms of flip-flop, in terms of multiplier, or in terms of memory. It will take the less resources. And easy and simple to implement. This part is also very important when we are dealing with algorithm. We will design the algorithm in such a way that it will involve less number of mathematical operation, less number of complex mathematical operation. Here the meaning of complex mathematical operation means like the exponential function, the calculation of exponential function, calculation of sine, calculation of cosine, and the matrix inversion, interpolation. And if in the algorithm these things are involved, then it is very tough to implement on any hardware platform, because this matrix inversion, when we are going to implement this matrix inversion on the hardware platform, it will be very tough, and also it will take a large number of resources, this matrix inversion. So we will try to design the algorithm in such a way that it involves less number of complex mathematical operation. If anyway we can implement like only addition and multiplication, then it is quite good. So this is called the implementation complexity. Like least computational burden is related to computational complexity, this easy and simple to implement is related to implementation complexity. Like we want the computational complexity is also low. Similarly, we want the implementation complexity of the algorithm is quite low. And the last is system independent and the adaptive. Not specific to any model, like in the Kalman filtering, there will be requirement of some modeling. Spirit, there will be requirement of some modeling. Estimation of signal parameter by rotation in various techniques. There will be requirement of some modeling. So what will be techniques? The techniques here that can be divided in two parts, one non-parametric method and the parametric method. In parametric method, again two parts, sinusoidal models and stochastic models. Here will be music, multiple signal classification, spirit, estimation of signal parameter by rotation in various techniques, and Kalman filtering. And again this in a stochastic model, autoregressive, and this autoregressive moving average and the Pro-Niche. So these are the parametric method. This parametric method are quite accurate, but the problem is the problem with the parametric method is that its computational complexity is quite high. So and its implementation complexity and computation complexity both are high. So if we will try to implement this parametric method on any hardware platform, so it is very tough. First point, it is very tough to implement on the hardware platform. If any way we can implement on the DSP processor or any operating system based hardware, so its hardware design that its resource requirement is quite high. So this parametric method has some drawback. Basically, computation complexity and implementation complexity both are high in the parametric method. Secondly, the non-parametric method, there will be frequency domain analysis, this discrete Fourier transform. The discrete Fourier transform is quite a good transform. This DFT is very good transform and most accurate and very easy and simple to implement on the hardware platform. The first point. The second point is that the with the problem with discrete Fourier transform, there will be some the problem of Piquet fence effect and the leakage, but it is very simple to implement and its computational complexity is also very less. Second, the short time Fourier transform and the wavelet transform, and we will deal this wavelet transform in very good manner. What is the wavelet transform? What is the benefit and advantage of this wavelet transform? So in parametric method, we will use some the models like the autoregressive moving average, autoregressive moving average, and sinusoidal to implement to model the our signal. It's the compute the this is more accurate spectral estimation, but the satisfy the model. Whatever model we will assume, then if this model will match with our signal xt, then it will provide the most accurate method. Most the accuracy of this method is quite good, but the strength is the high resolution, and it will detect all the frequency, amplitude, and phase and damping factor of the signal, precise frequency estimation, harmonics, interharmonics, and the subharmonics, robust against the night. But the problem with this parametric method is the high computational burden, complex structure and difficult to implement, and the high resource utilization. So these are the problems with the this parametric method. Then IEC standard 6100047. Basically, this is the standard provided by the International Electrotechnical Commission. This is dedicated to do the harmonics measurement and the dedicated to harmonics measurement. And the key points is that sampling frequency should be 9 kilohertz and the width of window is 200 millisecond, and we will use the rectangular window and DFT with the 5 hertz of the frequency resolution. So basically, these are provided by the IC 6100047, and we will use the DFT. But this IC is also saying you can design your own algorithm if your system does not satisfy this DFT. So this is the IC standard. Now in IC standard, basically we are using the Fourier transform. So Fourier transform is simply that we know this Fourier transform can be implemented on the your processor use the fast Fourier transform with the help of Cooley and Tukey. We can implement, and here the computational burden that n by 2 log 2 1 2n for the multiplication. So the computational complexity of this FFT is the n by 2 log 2n. So what is the benefit of Fourier transform? The benefit with Fourier transform is that its computational complexity is quite low. It is easy to implement on the hardware platform, more reliable for the stationary signal. So these are the advantage of the Fourier transform. But we know that our power signal whatever our power signal, then distorted power signal is not the stationary in nature. This power signal is the non-stationary in nature. So in the case of non-stationary, or in the case of time varying, both are same thing. In the case of non-stationary or in the case of time varying, that the accuracy of Fourier transform is quite low, because it's the fixed frequency resolution, and whatever window we are using, that rectangular window, if this is not synchronized with the signal, then also we'll find some accuracy. So we will find some non-accurate estimation. Also, frequency deviation leads to leakage and the peaked fence effect, and not able to detect the local transient like the time information. So with the help of discrete Fourier transform, we cannot visualize, like it is not possible to detect the sag, swell or momentary interruption, because there is completely lost in the time information. Only it will provide the frequency information. And the other drawback, that it has the fixed frequency resolution, and in the case of non-stationary signal, you will find there will be less accurate. In the case of non-stationary signal, it will be the less accurate. Means suppose like power signal. In the case of power signal, it will be very less accurate. So here the main problem is the leakage. And second problem is the peaked fence effect. Peaked fence effect, like suppose that we will know that the output of Fourier transform is the some, here the some frequency bins are here, and suppose that our signal, whatever you have signal, that whatever the signal here, this is the power signal, and first we will multiply with rectangular window. So we know that, suppose that is Fourier transform in f omega, and it's a Fourier, so we have to multiply here. So we have to convolute with that sampling function sin x by x, and the sin x by x is looking like this, sin x by x. Basically, the Fourier transform of the rectangular window is the sampling function sin t by t. You can sin t by t, and sin t by t is sin 80 by 80. It will look like this. So this, because of this, you can see there will be lobes are there. These are the lobes. So these lobes are generated the leakage. These lobes will generate the leakage. Means whatever the high frequency components are here, these high frequency components are cutting in many parts, and it will go this side because of these lobes. This is called the side lobe, and this is called the main lobe. Because of these side lobes, we will find the leakage here. So this is called the leakage. And the frequency resolution is the second, that this is the related to leakage, so it will provide the leakage. And second, the peaked fence effect. And also you can the frequency resolution. What is the fixed frequency resolution? Suppose that we will sample the signal with 1.6 kilohertz sampling frequency. We will sample the signal 1.6 kilohertz sampling frequency, means 1600 sample per second, and we will use 200 millisecond window according to IC standard. Suppose that we are using 200 millisecond window, so 200 millisecond window by this 1000, so this will cancel, and we will find 1600 into 0.2, so this will be 320. So 320 samples, here we will find the 320 samples, okay, in one window. So divide this 1600 by 320, we will find the 5. So here we will find the 5 hertz frequency resolution, means that you will find the frequency bins 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. So this is called the frequency resolution. So this frequency resolution of, when we will use 200 millisecond window, so frequency resolution we will find the 5 hertz. This is called the frequency resolution. So there will be some drawback of this Fourier transform. While the Fourier transform is very good, that very less computational complexity, and we can easily implement on any hardware platform, but the problem with this Fourier transform is that the first problem is leakage, and second problem is peaked fence effect, and also there is no time information. If there is no time information, so we cannot visualize the voltage sag, swell, and other time domain disturbances like momentary interruption, transients. We cannot detect all those things. We can detect, but there are some other algorithms for detection of with that time domain information, time domain disturbances with the help of Fourier transform. Now the wavelet transform. This wavelet transform is the multi-resolution techniques, MRA multi-resolution techniques, and along with time information, it will also provide the frequency information. In wavelet transform, we will find the frequency information as well as the time information. Frequency information as well as the time information. Both we will find here. So we can detect the time domain disturbances as well as the frequency domain disturbances. Means in time domain disturbances, we can detect the sag, swell and momentary interruption, and also we can estimate the that harmonics, interharmonics and the subharmonics. So basically, what is the wavelet transform? In wavelet transform, there are the mother wavelets, and these mother wavelets are dilated and shifted to vary the time frequency resolution. So here this is the continuous wavelet transform. So first what we are doing, suppose that this is our signal xt. So we will multiply this signal xt with the mother wavelet. So this is the mother wavelet. Mother wavelet, there are many type of mother wavelet. So this is simple a mother wavelet. This is a simple mother wavelet. So there will be mother wavelet may be dB, Dabichi wavelet. There will be Quiflet, and there will be Haar wavelet. So there are many type of wavelets, but the most suitable wavelet for the power quality disturbance are the Dabichi and the other are Quiflet. So what we are doing, we will multiply our signal with the this mother wavelets. So basically in wavelet transform, what we are doing, we will compare our signal ft with the mother wavelet, and we will find some set of coefficient. This set of coefficient is called the wavelet coefficient. This set of coefficients, wavelet coefficients, this will provide how these two signals are matched, that this xt and this mother. So this wavelet coefficients provide us, first we will compare this our signal xt with the mother wavelet, and it will provide a set of wavelet coefficient. This set of wavelet coefficients provide us the how these two signals xt and mother wavelets are matched, and with the help of this correlation we will extract some information from the correlation. So here this is the mother wavelet. This is mother wavelet, simply 1 by root a g t minus b by a. Here we are, the scale parameters are b, and the a is the scale parameter and b is the time translation parameter. So we will vary here this mother wavelet to vary the time frequency resolution. Suppose that this mother wavelet, the main lobe, we have to, if this will increase, means we require the time that frequency resolution will be very good. If the this window is quite long, so here the frequency information is very good. Frequency, we will find the good frequency information, and when we will shrink this wavelet, so we'll find the that frequency, we will shrink, then we can detect the, then the time resolution is quite good, so we can detect the transient and sag and swell. So when we have to access the harmonics component, so we will dilate, we will increase this wavelet, this part we will increase, so we can, the frequency resolution is good and we can estimate the harmonics. But when we will have to detect the time domain disturbances, then we have to shrink this wavelet, so we can detect the transients and other sag, swell and interruptions. So basically these are the continuous wavelet transform, but the continuous wavelet transform we cannot implement on the hardware platform. So we will use the, we will discretize this continuous wavelet transform, and this will call the discrete wavelet transform. The all the information is very similar to this. Here the summation is this integration is converted into the summation, and we have discretized also the mother wavelet. So simply the CWT and continuous wavelet transform and discrete wavelet transform both are same. Only difference is that this is the disk type. Why? Because we are currently using the digital processor. But and this equation of dwt, whatever this equation, whatever with this equation of dwt, that one paper published in IEEE Transition Information Theory, that is provided by the SG Malad, that we can implement this discrete wavelet transform with the help of multi-stage filter bank. Whatever this discrete wavelet transform, we can implement this discrete wavelet transform with the help of this filter bank. With the help of filter bank, that so normally at present time all this discrete wavelet transform is implemented by the filter banks. So we can see this is the structure of discrete wavelet transform. So this here there will be three level decomposition. This is three level decomposition. There is three level decomposition, and this HN is the low pass filter. This HN is the low pass filter, and this GN is the high pass filter. This HN is the low pass filter and this GN is the high pass filter. So we will pass this signal, whatever our distorted signal, we will pass our distorted signal from here. So there are some restrictions here. The first restriction on the sampling frequency. Suppose that our sampling frequency Fs, so we can detect only Fs by 2 frequency component. Suppose that we are using the 1600 sampling frequency, 1.6 kilohertz, so we can only measure from 0 to 800. Okay, so this 0 to 800, again this will converted from 0 to 400, and this will converted from 400 to 800. From the low pass filter, the output of this low pass filter 0 to 400, and output of high pass filter from 400 to 800. Again it will pass through this LPF low pass filter and high pass filter. So here we will find from 0 to 200, and we will find from 200 to 400. Again the same process again repeat here, from low pass filter to high pass filter. So here from 0 to 100, and here we will find from 100 to 200. So here we will find the fundamental component. So we can see here that the output of this filter bank, it will provide the logarithmic decomposition. We can see like here 0 to 100 and 100 to 200. Similarly we will find from here 200 to 400, and this will be the 400 to 800. So this is the, here we can see the frequency band. These frequency bands are not uniform. 0 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 400, and 400 to 800. So these bands are not uniform. When these bands are not uniform, so we cannot, suppose here we can detect the harmonics, the odd harmonics like 50. Here we can detect the fundamental components 50 Hz. Here we can detect the 150 Hz like the third harmonics. But here the mixing of 250 and the 350. So we can see because of non-uniform frequency band, we cannot detect the harmonics in the discrete wavelet packet transform. We cannot detect the harmonics because of non-uniform frequency band in the discrete wavelet transform. But this is good for the time domain disturbances like the sag and swell and momentary interruption. Why? Because all the time domain disturbances are here in this 0 to 100 fundamental is here, and the voltage signal disturbances we will find at the 50 Hz component. So we can detect the time domain disturbances, but we cannot detect the frequency domain disturbances like the harmonics. So what we can do? So in DW, with the help of DWT, we cannot implement. So we are going to design another wavelet transform. This is called the discrete wavelet packet transform. And in discrete wavelet packet transform, we will find the uniform frequency band. Like suppose the signal, the sampling frequency is again here 1600 Hz. So we can detect the 800. So it will again from 0 to 400 and 400 to 800. Similarly, we at the end of decomposition level, we will find like at here we will find 0 to 100. Here we will find the 100 to 200, and similarly here 200 to 300, and here we will find the 700 to 800. So in this fashion we can detect the fundamental, along with harmonics component. While in discrete wavelet transform, we are not able to detect the harmonics component. But in discrete wavelet packet transform, like in discrete wavelet transform, only the output of that low pass filter is that we again decompose the low pass filter. While in this discrete wavelet packet transform, the output of low pass, this HR is the low pass, and output of high pass, both are going to be that we are going to decompose iteratively. So we will find all the frequency component here. So here we can measure the fundamental and third harmonics, fifth harmonics, and so on, the here the odd harmonics component of the 15th component, odd harmonics up to the 15 component, and basically the mainly the harmonics are the odd harmonics. So with the help of discrete wavelet packet transform, we can estimate the harmonic component. So here there is three things are important. First, the sampling frequency. So whatever the sampling frequency, accordingly we will find here. The second point is the number of decomposition level. So when we have to estimate the harmonics, so first what we have to do, we have to sample our signal with the 1600 Hz sampling frequency, and we have to use the three decomposition level, like first, second, and the third. So in this fashion, we can estimate the harmonics component, like the fundamental present here. So this is called the uniform frequency band. Here we can see from 0 to 100, and so all the harmonics components are present at the center of each frequency bands. So here this is called the uniform frequency band. So in discrete wavelet packet transform, we can find the uniform frequency band, so we can estimate the fundamental component along with the harmonics component. So these are the equations. That so this simply there will be convolution of the previous level with the low pass filter and convolution with the high pass filter. So we'll find the wavelet coefficient at the next decomposition level. So the wavelet coefficient at LH level and kth point will calculate according to this formula. So simply this formula is nothing, only the convolution between the input signal and with the filters. Simply the convolution with the input signal with the filter, this is the formula. And using 3-level decomposition tree and 1.6 kHz sampling frequency, the output nodes of the last decomposition level is divided. Like at the first decomposition level, there are only 2 nodes. We can see there is only 2 nodes, and the sample per node is 160, because there will be one down sampling. So 320 that down sample by 2, so we'll find only 160 wavelet coefficients at the end of this here 160 wavelet coefficient. Similarly, at the second decomposition level, 4 nodes, so and the number of samples 80, again reduction by 2, so 18, and the bandwidth 400, 200, and last there will be the 100, and the number of nodes are 8. So if we are sample the signal 1.6 kHz sampling frequency, so at the end we will find the frequency components of that we can estimate the harmonics up to the odd harmonics up to the 15th frequency components. So this is the discrete wavelet packet transform. So the benefit of discrete wavelet packet transform, that it will provide the frequency as well as the time information. This has the multi-resolution capability. It will very easy to implement on the hardware platform using the filter banks, because they only involve the MSE operation, multiply and accumulate. So this multiply accumulate simply the adding and the multiplication, add and multiplication. There is no involving of any complex mathematical operation like trigonometric function, calculation of sine function, calculation of cosine, or any matrix inversion. And also there will be parallelism capability, so it is very fast in comparison to other, because there is parallelism also involved. But the problem with discrete wavelet packet transform is that the computational burden is quite high here in this discrete wavelet packet transform. Hello?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So its computational complexity is quite high. So what we can do, we can reduce this computational complexity with the help of polyphase decomposition based wavelet filter. So there are mainly there will be the selection between the accuracy and selection of wavelet filter. So what is here, if the wavelet filter in the wavelets, suppose that if we use the wavelet filters of if it contain more number of filter coefficients, so accuracy will be more. Suppose that there will be 20 filter coefficient, then accuracy will be less. If there is 40 filter coefficient, the accuracy is high. But the problem is that the computational complexity with the 40 coefficient is also high. So we have to optimize everything when we are going to implement on the hardware platform. Like 24 Vaidyanathan 24 coefficient, DB20 40 coefficient, DB10 20 coefficient, and 43 with 80 coefficient have been more suitable wavelet filter for the harmonic estimation. But this 86 coefficient will provide the computational complexity at very high. So we cannot use this DB43 on the hardware platform because there are many number of filters, so it will provide a large computational complexity. And frequency response, but the number of filter coefficient, if the number of filter coefficient is high, so frequency response is quite flat. Here, like the response will be like this. So here we'll find the very less transition band, and this band like very sharp cutoff frequency. You'll find very sharp cutoff frequency when the number of filter coefficients are quite high. But it will require the high memory and more computation at the cost of high memory and more computation. So the main problem here, the computational burden because of the more number of filter coefficient. So we can use one method like polyphase. With the help of polyphase, we can reduce the computational complexity of discrete wavelet packet transform by 2. We can by 1/2. So whatever the computational complexity of discrete wavelet packet transform, so it will reduce by half. And also there is possibility to save some memory when we are going to implement the hardware platform. So basically the main part of discrete wavelet packet transform is the low pass filter and the high pass filter. This is the main low pass filter and high pass filter. And these are the FIR filter, finite impulse response filter. And any low pass filter or high pass filter can be written like this: Hz, H0 plus H1, Z minus 1. So these are the filter coefficient, H0, H1, H2, H3, like dB20, dB30. These are filter coefficients. And this is the frequency, basically in frequency domain. How we can this Hz can be represented by the by this. So, and suppose that we will arrange here this H0, H1, Z like this. We will separate the odd component and the we can separate the even component and the odd component. So here we can write H0, H2, H4, Z minus 4 like this, and take Z minus 1 common. So we'll find H1, S3, Z minus 2, and similarly this H5 and Z minus 3. So we'll find this, we can write this Hz, and these are very similar. Only the difference is that we are we separate the even component and we separate the odd components here. So we can see here this H1, S3, H5. Here we will find H0, H2, H4 we will find. So it can be, we can understand with the help of this figure. Here the main part is in discrete wavelet packet transform, two things: this Hz and the downsampling. Okay, so this Hz can be represented by this. So we can separate this Hz like even plus Z minus 1 and the odd. So this is called HEZ, HOZ. So we can write this HEZ and H0Z and Z minus 1, because here Z square, because this is Z square, because this is here we can see minus 2, minus 4. Similarly here minus 2, and here also this is minus 4. So this is minus 4 and so on. So when we will replace this Z minus 2, that Z square by Z, so we will find, so we can write this Hz like this: HEZ square plus Z inverse H0 Z square. So we can see this Hz can be represented by this Z inverse HEZ square and H0 Z square, then downsampling. And this is the one noble identity we can find in any book, this noble identity. Suppose this any filter with this we are downsampling by M. So when we will take this filter M this side, so this M will be replaced. So we'll find only Hz here. So we can do this the same thing here. We can shift this downsample this side, and we will find HEZ and HOZ. So here will be downsample and here will be downsample. So this HEZ is this and H0Z is this. Only what we can do, this simply this Z square is replaced by the Z. So here will be corresponding change in the this equation. So what we will find? So here we can see at last we will find this arrangement, and whatever the response of whatever the frequency response of this combination of low filter and downsampling, the same response for this combination. But the benefit of this combination is that basically the computational complexity, all the multiplication and addition is going on this filter. Then we are going to downsample. But here, first we are going to downsample, then we will use the MAC operation, multiply and accumulate operation. So here we can see, suppose there is 320 components, 320 samples are here. We are injecting 320 samples. So it will multiply with the filter coefficient, and after we have to downsample here. But here we will reduce this 320 by 2. So only 160 samples. So only 160 multiplication and addition, while here 320 multiplication and addition. In this way, we can reduce, in this fashion, we can reduce the computational complexity by the half in this polyphase network. Drastically reducing computational complexity by the half with a simple use of this noble identity. And we have to implement now the implementation of this structure. So basically, any filter, that FIR filter, can be represented by the transpose form, direct form, MAC form, but the transpose form is more suitable for the implementation on the hardware form. So this is the transpose form. In this transpose form, we can see this is H1-1. So here the same thing, that HEZ and H0Z and Z-1. So here you can see this is the Z-1 and this is the downsampling and this is the downsampling. Then here, then this is HEZ and this is the HOZ. So we know the this HEZ and HOZ. So we can implement with the help of this transpose form, simply multiplication and the accumulation. So we'll find the output. So this is the transpose, this is the structure of when we are going to implement on the hardware platform. So this is the structure of a FIR filter on the hardware platform. So we can see there will be repetition of this Z-1, Z-1, Z-1. Again, this is the repetition of this Z-1, Z-1. So what we can do? There is a possibility we can replace this Z-1 and this Z-1 by a single Z-1. So what is the benefit? We can save some the resources, save some memory on the hardware platform. So we can see here, simply this Z-1 will, one Z-1, we have to use one Z-1, and we significantly, we can see this is basically the flip-flops are there. So here there will be multiple flip-flops, one flip-flop this and one flip-flop this, and this flip-flop will be converted into the single flip-flop. So the benefit of polyphase is that the two benefits: first, the computational complexity is reduced by half, and second benefit is that it will also save some hardware resources on the hardware platform, some flip-flop resources on the hardware platform. So there will be some, we can see that this is the comparison with the 10 cycles of data. So suppose the sampling frequency is 1600 and we are using the one window means 0.20 millisecond. So there will be 32 samples, and for the 10 cycle there will be 320 samples. So for 320 samples, the number of multiplication and the addition we can see in conventional DTF2PT and the polyphase form. So here we will find the reduction in the computational complexity in this is multiplication and this is the addition for the 3-level decomposition tree. So we will find that there is a significant reduction in the this on the hardware platform in the computational complexity. Now, how we can implement this on the hardware platform? So this is the algorithm. This algorithm is basically, first we have to design on the MATLAB. Then we have to implement this algorithm on the hardware platform. Like we will use here the field programming gate array for the implementation of this algorithm. Basically, at present time there are mainly two hardware platforms. First is the DSP processor and second is the field programming gate array. In DSP processor, the designing that with the help of C language, we can easily design our algorithm. While in the designing the algorithm on the hardware platform like FPGA, it is quite tough, because in DSP processor, the programs are executed in the sequential manner, because we are using the C language, and this is the operating system based devices. Here this is operating system based devices, and we are using C language. So here the program will be executed in this manner, sequential manner. So its speed is quite low in DSP processor. The second point, this speed is quite low, and second point is that the its hardware architecture is fixed, because we are using the operating system based. This is DSP processor operating system. See, so its hardware architecture is fixed. So we cannot optimize our algorithm according to our need. While in the field programming gate array, in the FPGA in field programming gate array, for the first here the program is executed in the parallel, because there is inherent parallelism. And the main benefit of this FPGA, the main advantage of this FPGA, we can design our own hardware architecture. So there is a possibility to optimize. There is a possibility to optimize our hardware architecture. So we can save some hardware resources, because this is related to the optimization. But here the hardware architecture is fixed, so we cannot optimize. Its speed is quite low, because it is execution is sequential manner. Its speed is quite fast, because there is a parallelism. Implementation is parallel in nature, so its speed is quite good. Here the advantage but the benefit is that we can easily implement. Here the implementation is quite tough, because we have to use the Verilog language, and it is quite this is basically the related to digital design. So here we can optimize. The first point is optimize in terms of speed and the resources. In terms of speed and resources. So we can optimize according to our need. So this here the main problem is that implementation using the Verilog. So there are many abstraction level in the field programming gate array. So there are many abstraction level. So we will use the Xilinx system generator as electronic design automation tool for the implementation of the algorithm. So these are the advantage of FPGA technology, whatever I have explained previously. So flexibility in design that optimize use of available hardware resources is possible for the specific application. High degree of parallelism, increase the throughput. Reconfigurable property, so add new functionality. And if the system design appropriately planned, so it is more better than the DSP processor. So how we can implement? First, there are many abstractions level, like the transistor level, then the transistor means MOSFET level, and the second will be the gate level. Gate level means the combinational circuit, like the lookup table and multiplexers and the NAND and OR gate. So this is gate level. And again that the in terms of Verilog, again in terms of some system generator. So basically we are more focusing on the digital signal processing. So digital signal, we have to more focus on the digital signal processing. So we have to less knowledge of this Verilog. So what we can do, there will be one high level synthesis tool, HLS tool, is provided by the Xilinx. So what we can do, we can design this algorithm with the help of HLS tool on the Simulink platform. So what we have to do, first we have to design our algorithm on the MATLAB platform. After that, this MATLAB platform is offline analysis. From offline analysis, so we have to go on the Simulink platform, and Simulink platform will provide us some level of real-time capability, real-time processing capability. So in Simulink platform, there will be Xilinx block sets where the codes are written in Verilog. Suppose that the codes are not available, so we have to write the code using the Verilog. But most of the codes are available at the GitHub, are provided by the Xilinx. So most of the provided in terms of with the in Verilog, or if it is not provided by the Xilinx, so we can find the code from the GitHub. So in GitHub there are many codes are written in Verilog. So what we have to do,
Dr. Vinay, your voice is not clear. Voice is not clear right now. Some disturbances are there.
Okay, sir.
And now it's okay.
So, so in this HLS tool, with the help of Simulink, we can implement our hardware algorithm. Hello.
नहीं, आपका आवाज क्लियर नहीं आ रहा, योर वॉइस इज नॉट क्लियर.
Okay, sir.
थोड़ा सा आप शिफ्ट होइए. एक बार जब आप कंप्यूटर की तरफ गए थे तो थोड़ा फास्ट आया था, कुछ पता नहीं, कुछ उसका होगा.
So now it is clear, sir.
Not clear, not clear.
Okay, sir. So basically, in this HLS tool, with the help of this HLS tool, we can implement our hardware on the field programming gate array. So what we have to do, we have to write algorithm on the MATLAB, then convert in the Simulink. This is called the real-time processing capability. Then we can in the Simulink there will be some Xilinx block. Some Xilinx blocks are available, and the Verilog code are written in this Xilinx block. So whatever the code, if the code, suppose that we are designing some algorithm, whatever the requirement, if we will find in the Xilinx block set, then it will be okay. We can easily implement. But suppose that in our requirement, if we are not able to find the block in the Xilinx block set, so what we can do, we have to write the Verilog code. We have to write the Verilog code. But there are many platforms, open source platforms are available like GitHub, and many platforms are available from where we can find the Verilog code. So most of the codes are available at any way. If not available, then we have to write. But mostly the codes are available. So what we have to do, we have to simulate the using the Xilinx block set, then automatic code generation on the ISC design suite or Vado design suite, then this verification and the generation of bitstream file. So the process are here to develop the algorithm on the MATLAB, then Simulink, then the generation, here the synthesis provided by the Vivado design suite. This will synthesize and convert into the netlist. Then this netlist is after the map, place, and the route process. It will converted on the bitstream file. Then this bitstream is file dumped into the hardware platform. So there will be the designing of our algorithm on the hardware platform. So here there is two important things, that the trade-off between timing and resource utilization. Suppose we have to design the algorithm in very fast way, so it will require more number of hardware resources. But it is good in power system that the our fundamental frequency 20 millisecond. The speed is quite low here. So what we can do, we can save some hardware resources here. So here the how we can implement the algorithm. So one things I will show here, how we are able to implement algorithm on the hardware platform. So suppose that we are using the MATLAB here. So simply, first what we will do, we will use one multiplier. Suppose we have to design one multiplier on the field programming gate array hardware platform. So what we can do, suppose that we will choose one model here, Simulink model. This is the Simulink model, and there will be some libraries are available in Simulink library. So first, the system generated documents are available on the Xilinx. So what we have to do, uh, uh, we have to that connect our MATLAB with the Vivado design suite. There will be the things are given there, how we can interface the system generator with the this MATLAB. So this is our Xilinx block sets are available. So here we can see these are the index are available here. So these are the codes. These are the codes, Verilog codes are given here. Suppose that we have to implement one multiplier on the hardware platform. So what we have to do? Suppose that we have to design one hardware, that one multiplier. So we can take first, we have to take
Your voice is not clear again. Just of that
hello.
headphone and other thing. Abhi clear. Now it's clear.
Okay, sir. So suppose that we have to design one multiplier. So what we can do, suppose that we have to multiply one sinusoidal signal. So we can take this DSP system toolbox, and from the sources, we can choose one DSP sine wave to add this DSP sine wave. And we will add one that scope here. This is the scope. We can add some scope. And now we have to use this Xilinx block set. So this is the input and output. These are the Xilinx block sets. So the first important, this in, this is the analog to digital converter, ADC. This gateway in is the analog to digital converter, and this gateway out is the analog DAC, digital to analog converter. And suppose that we have to multiply two signals, so we have to use this multiplication box, this MUL. So we can see multiplier. So now we are writing all the related data here. So this is multiplier, and this is the DAC, and this is the ADC, and this is the scope, and this is the sine wave. And the most important thing is here, the system generator, how we can synchronize this. So here we have to add one system generator on this platform. So we can see this is the system generator. This is the very important, because on adding this system generator part, this whole Simulink pin is converted into the corresponding FPGA. So here we can see this is important. Suppose that this is the system generator, we have to double click here. So this is the double click. So we'll find what board we can choose, the board. So the boards are given here, so we can choose the board. Suppose that we are using the Altix AC701 evaluation platform, and this is 1.1. This is the name of board. So this is the board, and we have to generate the hardware core simulation. Hardware core simulation means simulation loop, FPGA simulation in loop, hardware core simulation, that your hardware in the loop. So this hardware in the loop, and we have to choose this Verilog, and we have to choose the directory, whatever directory you are working, you can choose here. And this is important very here, this clocking, because this clocking, the whole work is depend on this clocking. Here we will find the clock period of 10 nanosecond. 10 nanosecond, basically Altix 70 FPGA is 20 millisecond. So the frequency is here, the frequency is 50 megahertz, and we have to provide the minimum frequency. Like here we have to going to sample by 1.6 kilohertz. So this 1.6 kilohertz is mapped into the 50 megahertz. When this 1.6 kilohertz is mapping to corresponding clock of 50 megahertz. This is whatever the clock of this Altix AC701 board. So this is very important. This will mapping this clock. Now here all work in the Simulink is going at the 1/1600 clock, means 1.6 kilohertz clock. But actual, when we are going to implement on the hardware platform, this 1.6 kilohertz clock is converted into a 50 megahertz, whatever the clock frequency of the board. So in this way we can okay. And suppose that we have to, this is our signal, and we have to multiply this signal. Simply one, how we can design the multiplier on the hardware board, simply we can add here, and this is the scope. So here suppose that the sinusoidal, we have to suppose that this is SQRT 2, SQRT, and the frequency will be fundamental frequency 50, and this is discrete real trigonometric, computation method is trigonometric, and this is 1.6 kilohertz sampling frequency we want to sample it, and sample per frame is this. Okay. Now, because this is our ADC, the analog to digital converter. This will map to ADC on the FPGA board. This is analog to digital converter. So we have to do something here. Like what will be output type? There will be fixed point and the floating point. And this I will explain about this. What is the fixed point and floating point? Suppose that we are choosing the 18 and 12. This 1812 means the total number of bits is 18 bits, and the 18 minus 12, 18 minus 12 means 6. 12 bits for the fraction, and in 6 bits 1 bits for the sign, and 5 bits for the that integer. Then whatever the quantization method we have to choose, that truncate or the round. Truncation means suppose that our amplitude is 6.3, so truncate will provide 6, while the round will provide the nearest value. Wrap will remove the negative part of the sinusoidal signal, while the saturate, so when there will be overflow, suppose that we are going to multiply two signals, so there may be possibility that there will be overflow, so we can use the saturate. It will more accurate than wrap, but this saturate will take the more hardware resources on the hardware platform. So here again the sampling frequency, we have to choose the sampling frequency of 1.6 kilohertz. So this is okay, and here we are providing the delay, and this is the DAC. We have not to do anything. Now we can simulate here, so this will provide the simulation here. So basically this is quite large. So suppose that one cycle we want to see. So this is the simulation we can see. So multiplication of two sinusoidal signal, we will find some value here. So because of multiplication, there will be no sign on the negative side. So this is correct. So suppose that when what we have to do when we have to implement. So what we can do, simply we can press on this generate button. When we are going to press on the generate button, so it will generate some bit stream files. So here we can generate bit stream file. Then after generation of bit stream file, we can connect our that FPGA board with this Simulink. So it will take more time. So I am not going. So there may be some problem here. So we can do here when we can click here generate button. I think there is some problem with sampling frequency. So in this way we can generate these things. This is simple implementation. Now we are going to focus how we can implement the discrete wavelet packet transform. So here the discrete wavelet packet transform, the most important part is that number of bits. So we will use here. So the 1612, sorry 1812, we are saying the 1812, we are using the fixed point floating format, fixed point floating format 1812. So 1812 means that our signal, this is, suppose that this is our signal, so here this is our signal, and first we have to sample. This signal is going to be sampled like this, and whatever the amplitude, suppose that there will be some amplitude of 2.356, suppose that 2.356. So we have to quantize this value. When we have to quantize this value, so we have to use some number of bits. So here we are using the 1812. This is called the fixed point format. So in 1812 there are 12, 18 minus 12, this 18 minus 12, that 6 bits. So these 12 bits will be used for this fraction value, and this 6 minus 1 will be used for this positive value or this negative value, and remaining 5 will be used for this integer value. So here this one, this is used for the sign, this will be used for the sign, and this remaining 5 will be So remaining 5 will be used for this integer, and all then this 12 will be used for the fraction, because the fraction will take more bits. Similarly, we are going to quantize this signal. Similarly, we can quantize the filter coefficients also. So here we can see this is the block diagram. This is the upper block diagram. So here this is the our signal, that whatever we have we have to, this is distorted signal, and we have to first put on the ADC, this is analog to digital converter, then pass through this low pass filter and high pass filter, and this low pass filter, high pass filter. Here the one thing is important, we are using the cast. This is cast, means this is converter.
Dr. Vinay, your voice is breaking right now.
Okay, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. 1 minute, sir. I am checking what is the problem.
Your voice is not clear right.
Now it is clear, sir.
Yeah, clear. Now it's clear.
Okay.
It's clear now.
Actually, when we are presenting something, so it will take more media, more bandwidth, and so the voice.
That's why.
That is the problem. Okay, sir.
Okay, right. Continue.
So this is the here. So this is the cast convert. Suppose that when there are many MSC blocks, multiplication and addition units are going on, so there may be possibility that our length of 18 bits, so it will be overflow. So when this will be overflow, again we have to convert. Suppose from 18 bits, it will become into 38 bits. So what we have to do, then again this 38 bits into converted into the 18 bit using this cast. This is called the convert block. So here in this this is the upper part of upper abstraction level of discrete wavelet packet transform. These are the ADC. This is the analog to digital converter. This is the high pass filter, FIR high pass filter, and this is the low pass filter. Again, there will be conversion from 18 bits to suppose that multiplication of overflow, there will be conversion of 18 bit, and the same process is going to be repeat. And after that, we have to, in estimation, we have to calculate the root mean square value from the wavelet coefficient. So one by one we will show what is here. So we can see this is the digital design of 6-step FIR filter. Basically, we are using here DaVinci 20 and DaVinci 40. So DaVinci 20 contains the 40 coefficient and DaVinci 30 contains the 60 coefficient, but it is not possible to show everything. So here we are going to show only some parts. So here the filter coefficients are again two type of sampling, two type of quantization. First the signal quantization, second the filter coefficient quantization. So filter coefficient again quantized in the 18-bit fixed point format. So we can see in the MATLAB. This is in the MATLAB. This is the main part of this discrete wavelet packet transform. We will use, so this is the distorted signal. There are test 1, test 1 50.5, 49.5. These are the test signal. This is the test signal which contain harmonics components. So there are the harmonics components are there. These are the harmonics component, and this is same again with fundamental frequency division of 50.5 and 49.5. Then these are the, because we have used the 200 millisecond window, so these are the techniques to convert our signal into 200 millisecond window. So this is only using a unit step function, and we are going to multiply like this. So it will convert our signal into 200 millisecond window. Again, there will be this ADC analog digital converter. So when we have to do all the process, synthesize and everything, then it will convert it into a ADC. Now we will use register because of pipelining. Oh, this is the discrete wavelet packet transform. So here we can see this is the discrete wavelet packet transform. Here this HN is the low pass filter and this GN is the high pass filter. And what is in this HN? This is the HN, these are the filters. So again we can see this, what is the polyphase, this is in polyphase form. So this Z minus 1, this is Z minus 1 and this is downsampling. Here we can see this is the Z minus 1, Z minus 1, then we are doing the downsample, then we are going to provide the multiplication and MAC. So here we can see the same process, we can see here in the same process. So what we are doing here, so it will move clear to this side. This is H0, so multiply with H0 and add. So first filter coefficient, second filter coefficient, this H2, H4, this is upper part is HZ, H0, H2, H4 and same one Hn minus 1. Here H1, H3, H5 and till Hn. So we can do the same process here, and the same process means multiplication with H0 and H0, H2, H4 and these are the Davichi filter coefficients are here. So the same things we can find here. We can see this is the multiplication. What this Z minus mean, I will explain why we are using this Z minus mean, because this is pipelining. This is called the process of pipelining. So we will multiply this filter coefficient are stored in the constant block. So multiply and add, multiply and add, multiply, and so this is called the MAC process. So here we can see in the this MAC process, the same is we can show here. So this is the multiplication with the multiplication block, and these are the filter coefficients. So we can see this is a constant block and this is the filter coefficient, and we have to multiply, and there will be the accumulation. Here you can see this is adds up. So multiply this accumulation. One thing is we can see here we are using Z minus 1, because when we are going to implement this algorithm on the hardware platform without pipelining means simple placing delay Z minus 1 in order to cut the maximum delay path, because we can design this hardware architecture on the FPGA board, but the board frequency 50 megahertz in ALTX. So this hardware architecture is not going to operate on the 50 megahertz because of improper designing of hardware this architecture. If we can introduce that pipelining, so we can introduce this pipelining in this architecture, so suddenly the operating frequency of the hardware architecture will increase and it will more than 50 megahertz. So that's why this is called this Z minus 1, because of this pipelining. So we can see here this is our downsampling, and this is the HE and HZ. Similarly, this process is repeated many times, you can see here. So at the end we will find this the one filter, this is the one low pass filter, and this is all the HE and HOZ. So this is the low pass filter. In this format we can create the delay implementation of delay part using the transpose form. And similarly this H low pass filter we can design also for the high pass filter, and this is the convert block I have already explained. So we can see this is the designing of discrete wavelet packet transform on the hardware platform. Now we have to also calculate the root mean square, because discrete wavelet packet transform only provide us the wavelet coefficients. On the basis of wavelet coefficients we have to calculate the root mean square. So we know that in root mean square, that simply whatever according to Parseval energy theorem, that the energy in the time domain and energy in the frequency domain both are same. So what we can do here, so as we know energy in time domain and frequency domain are same. So whatever that wavelet coefficient we are finding at the end of decomposition level, what we can do, suppose that we are getting some 40 coefficient, so we have to calculate the root mean square. So simply root mean square. So what we can do, we have to square this 40 coefficient magnitude, squaring, and then divided by this 320, and then we have to taking the root. So this is called the root mean square. So here this is the similarly root mean square we have to implement on the hardware platform. So how we can implement this on the hardware platform? We can see here, this is the, this register is used for the pipelining. So first we have to this converge, and this is the register. First we have to multiply square. So simply multiplication, this is the provide the square. Then accumulation, then means accumulation, and the accumulation then divided by 320, because there are 320 number of samples are 320. So then there we are taking the square root. So squaring mean and the square root, it will provide the root mean RMS value. In this fashion we will find the RMS value at the end of this. So basically there are 8 harmonics components. So 4 will use here, 1 2 3 4 will use here, and 4 will use this side, this side. So this is the designing of this discrete wavelet packet transform for the harmonic estimation. And now we have to test, we have to test this and the this signal. So these are the root mean square, the how we can implement this RMS value. And now we have to test this signal. So the resource utilization summary, so this part is very important here. So when we have we are going to click on this generate block. So it will generate, because it will take approximately 30 minutes, so we cannot generate here. So what we have to do, we can generate when we are going to implement this. So I'm not going to generate here. When we are going to click, it will generate some hardware resources, how many hardware resources required here. So the number of hardware resources required for this architecture is this. The number of flip-flop, number of lookup table, and number of RAM. RAM B means memory. This is the RAM B memory, and this DSP48 is the DSP84 even slash means the multiplier. This is the called the multiplier, and the operating frequency. So I have set the operating frequency first. When we have designed this hardware architecture, its frequency is going below to 50 megahertz. But when we have to provide this pipelining, so it's the operating frequency will increase from 50 megahertz to 127.38 megahertz, and it will take less number of resources. Now we have to the number of clock cycle required, the so how many clock cycle it will take on the hardware platform. So the estimation of fundamental component, it will take 643 clock cycle, and when we are going to multiply with into 1 by 50 megahertz, so it will come 12.86 microsecond. So we can see, we can estimate on the FPGA board the first fundamental harmonic component in the 12.86 microsecond. This is quite fast in the, because of FPGA parallelism capability. So you can see the all the number of clock cycle required for the estimation. Now we have to test this hardware board. So this, suppose that this is stationary signal. This is the stationary signal we have generated in the MATLAB, and this contains the fundamental components along with 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 11th. So we can see here. So this is the first test. So we have to, in this first test we are going to, this is the fundamental component of 1 amplitude, and similarly fundamental, this is the 3rd harmonics, 20% of the 3rd harmonics, and this is the 5th harmonics, 250 component 5th, this is 20% same. So in this way we can generate the harmonics, and we can test this our architecture. So we can click here. So here we have to simulate first, so we can check what will the output. After generation of everything, we can connect in the in the FPGA in the loop. We can connect this algorithm in the loop, and we can test our that it is working or not. So we can see here that we are getting the fundamental. We are first. So I am going to increase this. So we can estimate the fundamental value, where we have fundamental, we have provided the 1 volt, and we will find 1.001. And similarly, we will find 0.2 volt for the 3rd harmonics. So we'll find 0.844 here. So we can see, and the number of clock cycle required. So we can see at the number of clock cycle, this is the number of clock cycle required for the fundamental component and 3rd and 5th harmonics. So you can see this is approximately this number of clock cycle 499, approximately 500 clock cycle required for the first component. And here we can find this is the number of clock cycle required. So we can see here this is the calculation of the harmonics, and we can check this is with the, so this is the harmonics component that contain third, fifth, seventh, 11th, 13th along with fundamental frequency. And we are going to sample with the 1.6 kilohertz sampling window and 200 millisecond. And this is the estimation on the FPGA board, and this is the estimation on the MATLAB. So we can see this is 1.001 here, and we are getting here 1.001 here, 1.001, and third harmonics 0.1844, and we are also getting here 0.1845 something using DB20. Similarly, same thing we can do for the DB30. So on the MATLAB and the FPGA, so we can see there is some problem. That what is the problem? That actual value is 0.1946 we are getting using DB30, but here we are going 0.1845. So because of some there is problem with MATLAB and FPGA, because we have to quantize the signal and also filter coefficient, so its accuracy is less in comparison to the accuracy of FPGA is less in comparison to MATLAB. So this is the result obtained from this FPGA and the MATLAB. Similarly, we can test this hardware architecture with some other signal, that is C3. This signal is given IEC 610047 in C3 example 1. So here this is the given signal in IC standard. So we can, this is the signal here, we can say a step change in fifth harmonic amplitude from 3.36 ampere to 0.707 after 21.2 fade of fifth harmonics. So again we can see this on the here. So this is the test 2, and we can connect with test 2. So we will find here we have to simulate this. So we can see this harmonics, this is the fifth harmonics 2.327. We are getting 2.327 using this discrete wavelet packet transform 2.327 on the hardware platform. So we can see here 2.327. So this is the actual value is 2.355 ampere, while we are getting the 2.327. So same thing we can check on this FPGA platform and the MATLAB platform. We are getting same thing 2.327 and 2.327 here on the MATLAB and the field programming gateway both. Now the main problem here with the this discrete wavelet packet transform, the main problem is quantization, because at most of time we can see that here we can see in this example, like in this DB20, we are able to estimate the 0.2097 and the FPGA board is using DB20, while on the MATLAB platform 0.095. So this MATLAB is more accurate in comparison to field programming gate array. Why this problem occur? Because of this quantization. So with here the quantization, for checking the analysis of quantization, how much problem will occur here. With higher resolution, the accuracy will be relatively better. Suppose that we are using some at the place of 1812, we are using some 13 and 16. So in the case of this, the accuracy is more, because we are taking the more number of bits for the implementation of this filter coefficients and also the signal. So there is two things for the signal, and second the filter coefficient. So signal quantization and the filter coefficient quantization. First the signal quantization, and second the filter coefficient quantization. So here signal quantization also we are using the 1812, and also filter coefficient quantization also we are using the 1812. So here we are, when we are increased from 1812 to 13.6, so you will find the more accuracy in the here. This choice to be made on the ADC that convert analog input signal to digital form, and the filter coefficient, because there is two type of quantization. First quantization for the signal using the ADC, second quantization for the filter coefficients. So we in this example we have to see what is the effect of this analog to digital converter and what is the effect on the filter coefficients. So quantization of input signal will cause some amount of error only at the entry point. However, the resolution of the filter coefficient will amplify, introduce more error due to truncation of data, because at ADC only one time we have to quantize our signal in 1812 format, while the filter coefficients are going to repeat the many times. We can see here there is the repetition in many times, that here the filter coefficient. So it will generate the so this filter coefficient propagate the error. This filter coefficient will propagate the error. This filter coefficient will propagate the error from the this ADC at only one point, while the filter coefficient for error is generated from one point to another point. So it will propagate the error. So we can check the how much what is the problem occur with the filter coefficient quantization and how much problem occur with the input coefficient. So we will take some real time signal from two CFL. We have to connect two CFLs and we will get some real time signal and we are sending. So we will feed this data to the hardware architecture. So this is true value of this CFL and it is calculated by the EMO spirit, exact model order estimation of signal parameter by rotation in various technique. And what is the effect of different quantization? So here the effect of different quantization. So here two things. First thing is F fixed 1812, F fixed 1412. So this is the filter coefficients. So this is the quantization of filter coefficients. This is the quantization of filter coefficients, and this is the quantization of ADC. This is the quantization of coefficient. So in first phase, what we have to do? We have fixed the filter coefficient by 1812 and change and vary the this analog ADC quantization. So we are getting the output. This is the output 0.3096.846, and here we are getting the 548. So in case of this 12 bit, we are getting the we are not getting more accurate. When we have to check the filter coefficient from 1410, and this is analog. So we are when we are changing from 1812 to 1410, so the accuracy is deteriorated more here. We can see here 0.3096, we are getting 0.3084. So accuracy is reduced here. Again, change from 14 to 12 again there is more deterioration in the accuracy. So we can see here the accuracy is deteriorated in the filter coefficients, that the accuracy is more deteriorated due to filter coefficient in comparison to ADC. So these things has been done that practically, but if we can implement these things, if we are able to generate some mathematical formulation, then it will be better. So these things I have searched from the experimental data. There is no any fixed formula for this, and this is very random in nature. So we cannot predict how much accuracy will be deteriorated when we are going to change the filter coefficient and when we are going to change the analog ADC. So this is the about the discrete wavelet packet transform. So any question from audience side?
Now session is open for discussion and query solving. Anyone? If you have any query, please interact.
Sir, one question.
Yes, sir.
Apart from the wavelet packet transfer and wavelet transfer, what are the other the signal processing techniques that we can utilize? And another question, if we are not going to utilize the signal processing technique and directly we are really on our AI techniques, so what will happen then?
Actually, I am going to give the answer of the first question. that AI techniques, we can implement AI techniques on the hardware board, because is similar to a discrete wavelet packet transform. AI has also the parallelism capability, but the problem with AI technique that we have not the sufficient training data, because that artificial intelligence technique is totally based on the training data. Suppose that any problem will occur and in the power quality, in the power signal, and we have not included those data at the time of training, so definitely it will introduce the error. While in the signal processing technique, that is, there is no requirement of training, so it will we can feed any signal and we can estimate. And the second, that the question of the answer of first question, that we can implement other algorithms on the hardware board, basically on the field programming gateway, because in discrete wavelet packet transform there is only the best thing is that there is only multiplication and the addition. There is not involve any complex mathematical operation like the calculation of exponential, calculation of trigonometrical function, calculation of matrix inversion or interpolation. So you can implement on the hardware board, but this is called the implementation complexity. If the implementation complexity of any algorithm is tough, then we cannot implement. Suppose that EMO spirit, exact model order estimation of signal parameter by rotation invariance technique, this is the parametric non-parametric method. So we can see here this is quite accurate, but there involve matrix inversion, and matrix inversion we can implement at present time, we can implement, but it will take more number of hardware resources. So it will if it are taking the more number of hardware resources, so mainly in the hardware board there will be optimization of different things, the hardware resources, timing and all those things.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
So, good evening, sir. My question is, in whatever power quality disturbances you are considering for harmonic identification, what level of THD have you considered, sir? Because as per IEEE 1159, it should not be more than 5%. So, it is included or not?
No, it is included. Here we have included. We have considering ICC standard. We have considering the IEEE standard. Also the European standard we have considering here. We have considering 5% total harmonic distortion here.
Okay, so not more than 5%.
Not more than, but actually normally we are generating 5%. We have considering 5 to 8%, and European Union IEN IC 610047 and IEEE, both are, all three are major standard, are saying about 5 to 8%.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
So
sir.
we have considered.
Hello. This is Vikram here, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, suppose we are using SIC based or GAN based device. Okay, sir.
Okay.
So, what you prefer to use, FPGA board or DSP for hardware implementation to generate the pulses?
So I am not able to understand your answer. Please.
SIC device
uh,
or GAN based device, which basically operates as higher frequencies in the range of megahertz. So, DSP 28335 will be much preferable, or FPGA?
I think you are using for the power electronics
Yeah,
applications.
for electronics application.
So definitely FPGA is the good for the power electronics application, because in power electronics application we are dealing with higher frequency, and here this is require quite fast processing in the power electronics. So FPGA is more preferable in comparison to DSP, in my opinion.
Actually, I have started in somewhere in generating the using FPGA, as we are just beginners from that. Could you help out in that respect? What we can refer for generating the pulses? Because in YouTube or somewhere it is in elaborate things are not given.
Actually, basically what we can do, there will be the in papers, IEEE, the papers are available in the industrial electronics related to FPGA implementation of this.
That's why the papers are also
I
not
know
showing
it
the
is not
problem.
able to understand. So what we have to do basically in GitHub, there are many codes are available, and some codes are also provided by the Xilinx open forum. Xilinx open forum, there will be the codes are available. So whatever your application you have, you can search the code from there, I think, and you can
We
implement
have
them.
gone through Pentec solutions. They're providing the trainings, but they're
Yes,
also
yes.
not providing the details. They're just going with the introductions
Okay, I
only.
know about Pantech. That is, I think, in South India, Hyderabad,
Yeah, they are
Hyderabad,
now
Vijayawada.
marketing throughout India.
Through Pantech. Basically, they are implementing very. I have seen they are in Pantech solution. They are
Yeah,
implementing very simple algorithm.
grassroots level
Like
only. Very simple
suppose
only.
that we have to use our things for the research purpose. Then
Yeah.
anyhow we have to do, and we have to implement. And any other agency like Pantech solution will not provide you code because they are
No,
very
no, I do
simple.
not need the code. I do not need the code. Actually, the process is required. Code you have to generate for ourselves.
Uh, so process is required.
Yeah, yeah. So suppose they are just making one ADC, and
Hmm.
next what to do, how to convert, how to generate the pulses. These things are not been explained in details.
Actually, first I have to see what is the algorithm. What is your algorithm? And on the basis of algorithm, we have to decide that what we can use and how we have to implement. Without seeing the algorithm, at this time I
Okay.
cannot say what I can
Yeah.
do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anyone else? I think now there are no more questions. So Dr. Vikram, now, so Dr. Vikram is working here as the assistant professor in electrical department. He is the one of the coordinator of this program also,
Okay,
right?
sir.
So now we have reached
So
at the
now
conclusion.
it's my turn to say thank you. So I thank you from the core of my heart, and especially from the institute side and the department. You have elaborately mentioned about this assessment of power quality disturbances using wavelet-based methods.
Yes,
Throughout the
sir.
techniques, you have tried to give highlights about implementation in hardware, how to interface this hardware using the Verilog platform, and how to connect the JTEX, and all these things you might have shown in your presentations. I hope these things will be much more beneficial for the students who actually will be doing work in uh, hardware platform. So I know this about the JTEG and how to implement this. We are using it. So I will request you to help the students in any case they are asking for help. Again, I thank you once again from my side, from the coordinator, from the head of the department and NIT as a whole, as well as from the participant sides. Thank you very much for your
Okay, sir.
time.